This is my story, a bold and unyielding account of betrayal, ingenuity, and the fierce resilience of a woman who turned dismissal into triumph. I'm Evelyn Harper, 68 years old, and I've learned that cruelty can ignite creativity, and that sometimes the best way to reclaim your dignity is to build a life so vibrant it overshadows those who tried to dim you. This isn't just my tale, it's a rallying cry for every woman who's been underestimated to transform pain into power. As you read, I invite you to share your own moment of turning adversity into victory. Drop a comment below and tell me what's the boldest way you've reclaimed your worth. Let's inspire each other to rise and thrive. I stood frozen in the doorway of the garage, the cold concrete floor seeping through my thin slippers, the air thick with the musty scent of motor oil, dust and forgotten dreams. At 68, I'd weathered storms that would break most, losing my husband, Martin, to cancer 5 years ago, raising my son Greg alone on a librarian's modest salary in Boulder, and retiring to a life of quiet joys like gardening and organizing book drives. But nothing prepared me for this moment. I'd sold my cozy bungalow to downsize, moving in with Greg, 40, and his wife Vanessa, in their sprawling suburban Denver home, expecting warmth, laughter, and the comfort of family. Instead, Vanessa, a 38-year-old interior designer with a penchant for control and a smile as sharp as her manicured nails, had relegated me to the garage, claiming their guest room was her essential home office for client meetings. Her words, delivered with a saccharine tone, "It's just temporary, Evelyn, until we sort things out," cut deeper than the chill of the space where I now stood, my suitcase a heavy weight at my feet. The garage was a chaotic shrine to neglect. Cardboard boxes teetering with Greg's old college textbooks, rusted bicycles leaning against cracked walls, and a tangle of Martin's fishing gear I'd brought, unable to part with. Vanessa had tossed in a folding cot, a threadbare blanket, and a space heater that buzzed feebly, its warmth no match for the draft sneaking through the uninsulated walls. I sank onto the cot, the metal frame creaking under me, my heart pounding with a mix of shock and humiliation. I'd given Greg everything: love, stability, extra shifts at the library to fund his engineering degree, my own dreams of writing a novel shelved to ensure his future. And now his wife had banished me to this concrete cage. Greg, always one to avoid conflict, had stood by, his eyes fixed on the floor, mumbling, "It's just for now, Mom." His silence was a betrayal as sharp as Vanessa's decree. I clutched my suitcase, my fingers tracing the worn leather, a gift from Martin for our 25th anniversary. Tears stung my eyes, but anger surged hotter, a fire kindling in my chest. I wasn't just a widow, a mother, a retired librarian. I was Evelyn Harper, a woman who'd catalogued thousands of books, organized community reading programs that brought kids to literature, and rebuilt her life after Martin's death. Vanessa's cruelty wasn't just personal, it was a challenge, a test of my resilience. I called my friend Clara, a retired nurse who'd been my confidant since our book club days, her voice a lifeline across the miles. "They put you in the garage," she gasped, her outrage a mirror of mine. "Evelyn, you're not a piece of furniture to be stored. This is unacceptable." Her words were a spark, igniting a resolve I hadn't felt since I'd stood at Martin's graveside, vowing to carry on. The next morning, I woke on the cot, my back aching but my mind clear, the garage's dim light filtering through a grimy window. Vanessa and Greg were at work, her at a client's, him at his engineering firm, leaving me alone with my thoughts and the chaos around me. I surveyed the space, my librarian's eyes seeing potential where others saw clutter. I had $60,000 in savings from selling my house, a nest egg I'd planned for travel, perhaps a trip to Paris to see the libraries I'd dreamed of, or an emergency fund. This was an emergency, not of money, but of dignity, of self. I opened my laptop, the space heater's hum a faint companion, and began researching. An article about Airbnb caught my attention: ordinary people turning spare rooms, sheds, even treehouses into income streams. The garage wasn't a room, but it was space raw and unclaimed, and I knew hospitality from years of hosting book clubs, welcoming strangers with tea and stories. I contacted Mr. Torres, a local contractor who'd renovated our library a decade ago, his kind eyes and steady hands a memory I trusted. "Can you make a garage livable?" I asked, my voice firm as I described my vision: insulation to banish the cold, dry wall for warmth, a small bathroom for convenience, and a layout that felt like a home, not a storage unit. He toured the space, nodding thoughtfully, and quoted $15,000, a price I could afford with my savings. I hired him on the spot, my heart racing with the audacity of my plan. I kept it secret from Greg and Vanessa, who assumed I was organizing the garage when they saw me sorting boxes. I also reached out to Lily, the daughter of a book club friend, a graphic designer with a flair for branding. "I'm calling it the Cozy Nook," I told her, my voice steady. "I want it to feel like a haven." She grinned, sketching a logo of a lantern glowing in a snug space, her enthusiasm a boost to my courage. As Torres began work, hammering and sawing while Vanessa was out, I decluttered with purpose, donating Greg's unused gym equipment, recycling old papers, and carefully storing Martin's fishing rods in a corner, a nod to our past. Vanessa noticed the changes, her eyes narrowing as she peeked into the garage one evening. "What's all this cleaning?" she asked, her tone clipped, her arms crossed over her silk blouse. "Just tidying up," I said, my smile tight, my pulse quickening with the thrill of my secret. She didn't press, her attention diverted by a client call, her world too polished to suspect my rebellion. Greg was oblivious, lost in his blueprints and deadlines, his avoidance a shield I'd long recognized. I wrote in my journal, a habit from my librarian days, when I'd catalogued not just books, but moments, Martin's laugh, Greg's first steps, my own quiet victories. Now I wrote plans, flooring choices, furniture budgets, Airbnb pricing strategy. I wrote about Vanessa's coldness, her assumption that I'd accept this exile, and Greg's silence, a betrayal that hurt more than I'd admit. I wrote about the Evelyn I was becoming, a woman who'd turned this concrete prison into a stepping stone, who'd show them what resilience looked like. I'd warned Vanessa at our first meeting, when she'd dismissed my offer to help with her garden. "Don't mistake my kindness for weakness." She'd learned that lesson, and I'd make sure it was unforgettable, my triumph built on the very space she'd used to diminish me. The weeks following Vanessa's decree were a masterclass in quiet rebellion, each day a careful step toward reclaiming my power. I moved through Greg and Vanessa's house with practiced ease, brewing their morning coffee, folding their laundry, offering smiles that masked the fire burning within me. But my heart, my soul was in the garage, where Mr. Torres and his crew were transforming my exile into a sanctuary of opportunity. Vanessa's words, "just temporary," echoed like a taunt, each repetition fueling my determination to prove her wrong. I wasn't just a retired librarian, sleeping on a creaky cot. I was Evelyn Harper, a woman who'd catalogued dreams in library stacks, who'd rebuilt her life after Martin's death, and who'd turned this humiliation into a victory that would echo beyond their suburban walls. Torres worked miracles, his team insulating the garage against Denver's biting winters, installing drywall that softened the space's harsh edges, and adding a compact bathroom with a sleek shower, a small sink, and a toilet that made the space self-sufficient. I spent $15,000 watching my savings dip to $45,000, but each nail driven, each wall raised, was a step toward freedom, a declaration that I wouldn't be confined. I sourced furniture with a librarian's precision, scouring thrift stores, estate sales, and online marketplaces like a treasure hunter. I found a plush sofa bed in soft gray, a reclaimed wood dining table with character, and thick rugs in warm blues that softened the concrete floor. I hung fairy lights that twinkled like stars, added throw pillows in mustard and teal, and painted the walls a creamy ivory, turning the cold, cluttered space into a haven that felt like home. The total cost was $5,000 more, but the transformation was priceless, a testament to my vision. I enlisted Lily to elevate the project, her graphic design skills bringing the Cozy Nook to life online. She crafted an Airbnb listing, her photos capturing the space's charm: a cozy corner with a bookshelf, a lantern glowing on the table, a welcome basket of local coffee, and my homemade oatmeal cookies. The Cozy Nook, a serene retreat in suburban Denver. The listing read, priced at $100 a night, competitive yet profitable, based on my research of local rentals. Lily's logo, a lantern in a snug space, graced the page, her enthusiasm infectious. "This is going to be huge, Evelyn," she said, her eyes bright. I smiled, my heart swelling with possibility, her belief a mirror of Martin's. I kept the project a secret, working when Vanessa was at client meetings, and Greg was buried in his engineering project. Torres scheduled his crew for midday, their noise masked by the hum of suburban life. I stored tools in a locked shed, my librarian's organization, ensuring no trace remained when Vanessa returned. She noticed the changes, her brow furrowing as she peeked into the garage one evening, the dry wall, now up, the floor gleaming with new laminate. "This is excessive for storage," she said, her voice sharp, her arms crossed over her designer blazer. "Just making it livable," I replied, my tone neutral, my pulse quickening with the thrill of defiance. She didn't press, distracted by a call, her world too self-absorbed to suspect my rebellion. Greg, when he bothered to glance, shrugged. "Looks nice, Mom," he said, his avoidance a familiar ache. Clara visited, her nurse's practicality grounding me, her eyes wide as she toured the nook. "Evelyn, this is brilliant," she said, sinking into the sofa bed, her fingers tracing the soft throw. "You're not just surviving, you're thriving." Her words were a balm, her pride echoing Martin's when I'd launched a library reading program. I confided my plan, rent the nook, save the income, and move out, somewhere Vanessa couldn't control, somewhere like a penthouse in downtown Denver, a dream born in the garage's shadows. Clara grinned, her laughter warm. "Show them who you are, Evelyn, they won't know what hit them." I nodded, my resolve steel, the vision of a skyline view fueling my nights. The listing went live, and bookings poured in faster than I'd dared hope. Travelers passing through Denver, couples on weekend getaways, even a writer seeking a quiet retreat to finish her novel. The first month brought $2,000, my savings ticking upward, my confidence soaring like a kite in a clear sky. Guests loved the personal touches, my cookies, a curated bookshelf of novels and travel guides, handwritten welcome notes that made them feel at home. Reviews glowed on Airbnb. "Evelyn's nook is a gem, warm and inviting." I read each one, my heart full. Their words a reminder that I was seen, valued, capable. Vanessa grew suspicious, her designer's eye offended by the sight of guests arriving with suitcases. "What's going on here?" she demanded one afternoon, catching me handing a key to a young couple. I stood tall, my voice calm but firm. "I'm renting the garage on Airbnb, it's my space after all." Her face reddened, her control slipping, but she had no grounds to stop me. The garage was part of their property, but my lease agreement, signed in haste, gave me rights to use the space. Greg mumbled, "Cool, Mom," his eyes darting to Vanessa, his loyalty torn but leaning toward her. I didn't need his approval. I had my guests, my income, my plan. I wrote in my journal, pages filling with guest stories, the writer who left a signed manuscript, the couple who danced to jazz in the nook, alongside financial projections and reflections on Vanessa's cruelty, Greg's passivity. I wrote about Martin, his belief in my ingenuity, his laugh when I'd organized our tiny apartment into a home. I wrote about myself, Evelyn, who'd been dismissed as a burden but was building a future brick by brick. I'd warned Vanessa, "Don't mistake my kindness for weakness." The cozy nook was my rebellion, a spark that would light my way to a penthouse, and I was just getting started. Maintaining the facade of compliance was a daily dance, a delicate balance of playing the dutiful mother-in-law while nurturing the rebellion that was the cozy nook. Vanessa and Greg expected me to fade into the background, a quiet figure grateful for their roof, content to shuffle between the garage and their kitchen. I gave them that illusion, brewing their morning coffee with a smile, watering their manicured lawn, nodding at Vanessa's critiques of my dated sweaters. But my heart was in the garage, where my Airbnb was thriving, bookings climbing to $3,000 a month, each reservation a step toward freedom. Vanessa's control was unraveling, her carefully curated world disrupted by my quiet defiance, and I savored every moment, my pulse quickening with the rhythm of my independence. I upgraded the nook, investing another $5,000 to elevate its appeal, my savings now at $42,000, but my income steady as a metronome. I added a mini fridge stocked with local sodas, a smart TV for guests to stream their favorite shows, and a coffee bar with a sleek espresso machine, its aroma filling the space each morning. I hung local art prints of Denver's mountains and abstract swirls, sourced from a nearby gallery, giving the Nook a boutique feel. Guests raved, their 5-star reviews boosting my listing to superhost status, a badge of pride that felt like a medal. Evelyn's hospitality is unmatched, one wrote, and I printed it, taping it inside my journal, a reminder of my worth. I greeted each guest personally, my hospitality a craft honed from years of making library patrons feel welcome. Their stories filled my evenings, a musician recording in Denver, a family visiting colleges, a retiree exploring the Rockies. I listened, offered tea, shared snippets of my life, their gratitude a warmth that Vanessa's coldness couldn't touch. I wrote their tales in my journal, alongside plans for my future, a penthouse in downtown Denver, its floor-to-ceiling windows, a symbol of the life I was building. I researched rentals obsessively, eyeing a sleek unit in a high-rise $4,000 a month, within reach if the Nook's success held. I imagined standing on its balcony, the city lights below, Martin's photo on my nightstand, my heart free. Vanessa's suspicion turned to irritation, her designer's sensibility offended by the parade of guests disrupting her pristine neighborhood. "This is disruptive, Evelyn," she snapped one morning, catching me waving goodbye to a guest, her arms crossed, her eyes flashing. "You're turning our home into a hotel." I stood tall, my voice calm but edged with steel. "It's my income, Vanessa. You gave me the garage, I made it work." She stormed off, her heels clicking, her controls slipping like sand through her fingers. Greg, caught in the crossfire, tried to mediate, his voice soft, his eyes pleading. "Maybe tone it down, Mom. The neighbors are talking." I smiled, unshaken, my resolve a fortress. "I'm supporting myself, Greg. This is my life now." His silence was his answer, his loyalty torn but leaning toward Vanessa, a choice that stung but didn't sway me. Clara became my ally, helping manage bookings when I needed a break, her nursing efficiency a perfect complement to my organization. She'd visit the Nook, her laughter filling the space, as we sipped coffee, her pride a constant. "You're a force, Evelyn," she said, her eyes twinkling. "This is more than a rental, it's a statement." I confided my penthouse dream, showing her photos of the high-rise, its sleek lines and mountain views a world away from the garage. "You'll get there," she said, her certainty a boost. I started a blog, Silver Spaces, documenting my Airbnb journey, offering tips for older women to monetize their skills, their spaces, their resilience. The blog gained traction, readers emailing stories of their own reinventions, a 70-year-old starting a bakery, a 65-year-old launching a craft shop. I was building more than a rental, I was sparking a move. I kept up appearances in the house, cooking dinners for Greg and Vanessa, my smile a mask that hid my growing power. Vanessa's barbs grew sharper. "This isn't a bed and breakfast, Evelyn," but I deflected with ease, my focus on the Nook, on the guests who made me feel seen. I wrote in my journal, pages now a manifesto of resilience, detailing Vanessa's attempts to control, Greg's passivity, and the guests whose stories fueled me. I thought of Martin, his pride in my resourcefulness, his voice urging me on, when I'd organized our tiny apartment into a home. I thought of the penthouse, its balcony calling, each booking a brick in the foundation of my new life. The neighbors began to notice, some stopping by to compliment the Nook, others whispering about Vanessa's mother-in-law motel. The gossip amused me, a sign that my rebellion was visible, undeniable. I added a guest book to the Nook, inviting visitors to share their stories, their words a tapestry of connection that Vanessa couldn't erase. I was no longer the Evelyn who'd stood in the garage, humiliated by her decree. I was a creator, a host, a woman reclaiming her worth. I'd warned Vanessa, "Don't mistake my kindness for weakness." The cozy Nook was my rebellion, blooming brighter with each guest, and I was ready for the next leap. The day I signed the lease for the penthouse was a triumph, the Denver skyline glittering through the realtor's window as I put pen to paper, my hand steady, my heart soaring. The cozy nook had earned $10,000 in 3 months, a steady stream of income that covered the $4,000 monthly rent for a sleek, one-bedroom penthouse in a downtown high-rise, its floor-to-ceiling windows offering views of the Rockies that took my breath away. I packed my belongings, my favorite books, Martin's framed photo, my journal filled with plans and dreams, leaving the nook intact for guests, its charm undimmed by my departure. Vanessa and Greg were at work, oblivious to my move, their world too narrow to notice the revolution I'd staged. I left a note on their kitchen counter, my handwriting precise. I've moved out. The cozy nook stays listed. Thanks for the space. It was polite, sharp, a final jab at their underestimation. I moved into the penthouse with a sense of awe, its marble counters, hardwood floors, and open layout a far cry from the garage's cold cot. I furnished it sparingly, but with love. Thrifted armchairs in soft green, a new bed with crisp white linens, my roses transplanted to pots on the balcony, their blooms a nod to Martin's garden. My savings stood at $38,000, but my income was steady, the nook's bookings holding strong, managed remotely with Clara's help. I stood on the balcony that first night, the city humming below, the mountain silhouettes dark against the stars, and felt free, my heart unshackled from Vanessa's control, Greg's passivity. I'd done this myself, turned a garage into a gateway, and the penthouse was my reward. Vanessa called that evening, her voice shrill, piercing through the calm of my new home. "You're renting our garage from a penthouse. Evelyn, this is embarrassing for us." I stood by my window, the Rockies grounding me, my voice calm but edged with steel. "It's my business, Vanessa. You gave me the garage, I made it work." "That's not on you," Greg chimed in, his tone pleading, his words stumbling. "Mom, people are talking, neighbors, Vanessa's clients. Can you stop the Airbnb? It's messing with our reputation." I smiled, my resolve iron, the city lights reflecting in my eyes. "No, Greg. I'm living my life now, and the nook is part of it." I hung up, my heart steady, and raised the nook's price to $120 a night, demand still high, my defiance a quiet roar that echoed across the city. The nook's success drew attention, local blogs picking up the story of the garage-turned-gem, some mentioning Vanessa's address to her horror. Her friends noticed, their whispers reaching her through Denver's tight-knit design community, her perfect image tarnished by my success. She sent a text, her words desperate. "Evelyn, please delist the nook. It's humiliating for us. We'll work something out." I ignored it, my penthouse, a fortress, its sleek lines and open spaces a testament to my independence. I wasn't spiteful, I was sovereign, my life no longer theirs to dictate. My blog Silver Spaces exploded, gaining thousands of readers, women from across the country, inspired by my story of turning betrayal into triumph. I wrote about the garage, Vanessa's cruelty, the nook's creation, and my penthouse leap, my voice unapologetic, my tips practical, how to start an Airbnb, decorate on a budget, reclaim your worth. Readers called me the Garage Queen, a nickname I embraced, my gray hair and bold scarves, a symbol of defiance. I shared guest stories, like the artist who painted a mural in the nook as thanks, and my own reflections on resilience, each post a brick in a community of women, rising above dismissal. Clara visited the penthouse, her eyes wide as she toured the space, her laughter filling the air as we sipped wine on the balcony. "You've built something incredible," she said, her pride a constant, her friendship a gift. I showed her my blog analytics, the emails from readers, a 66-year-old starting a catering business, a 70-year-old renting her attic. "You're sparking a revolution," Clara said, and I believed her. My heart. I wrote in my journal, pages now a celebration of freedom, the city lights my backdrop, the Rockies my witnesses. I thought of Martin, his love a guide, his laugh echoing in the penthouse's quiet moments. I thought of Vanessa, her control shattered, Greg's silence a lesson he'd yet to learn. The neighbors in Greg and Vanessa's suburb gossiped, some admiring my nerve, others siding with Vanessa's reputation. I didn't care, my world was here, in the penthouse, with my roses, my readers, my guests. I planned my next move, a second Airbnb, perhaps a small condo to buy, my savings growing with each booking. I'd warned Vanessa, don't mistake my kindness for weakness. They begged me to stop, their pleas a faint echo against my triumph. I raised the price, my life a testament to what a woman could build when pushed too far. The months after moving to the penthouse were a renaissance, my life blooming like the roses on my balcony, their petals vibrant against Denver's crisp air. The cozy nook earned $4,000 a month, covering my penthouse rent and leaving surplus, my savings climbing back to $40,000. I hired a cleaner and a part-time manager, a local college student named Mia, whose energy matched my own, streamlining operations so I could focus on growth. Guests continued to rave, their reviews a chorus of praise, the nook a Denver staple, known for its warmth and Evelyn's touch. I started a second listing, renting a corner of my penthouse as a writer's retreat for $80 a night, a cozy nook with a desk and mountain views, adding $1,500 monthly to my income. Silver Spaces grew into a phenomenon, its readership swelling to tens of thousands, women from across the globe sharing stories of reclaiming their lives, starting businesses, leaving toxic relationships, embracing their age with boldness. I wrote about the garage, Vanessa's cruelty, the nook's rise, and my penthouse life, my voice raw and unapologetic. I shared practical tips, how to navigate Airbnb regulations, source affordable decor, build confidence in a world that dismisses older women. Readers nicknamed me the Garage Queen, a title I wore like a crown, my gray hair and vibrant outfits a symbol of defiance. I answered emails daily, from a 68-year-old launching a pottery studio to a 72-year-old renting her guest house, their stories weaving a tapestry of resilience that fueled my days. Vanessa and Greg visited the penthouse, their faces strained, their apology halting but sincere. They sat on my thrifted armchairs, the Rockies framed behind them, Vanessa's eyes darting to the balcony, Greg's hands fidgeting. "We didn't mean to hurt you, Evelyn," Vanessa said, her voice tight, her designer scarf a contrast to my bold thrifted shawl. "The garage was a mistake," Greg nodded, his guilt palpable, his engineering mind struggling with the scale of my success. "We're sorry, Mom. Can we start over?" I listened, my heart open but my boundaries firm, the city's hum a reminder of my independence. "I love you, Greg, but I'm done being controlled," I said, my voice steady. "The nook stays, and so does my life." They left, our bond tentative, their respect newfound, Vanessa's control a shadow that no longer reached me. Vanessa followed Silver Spaces, her comments sparse but curious, a sign she was grappling with my transformation. Greg called occasionally, his pride in my blog genuine, his engineering mind intrigued by my business model. I didn't need their approval. I had my readers, my guests, my community. Clara joined me for wine on the balcony, her pride a constant, her laughter warm. "You've built an empire, Evelyn," she said, raising her glass. I laughed, but she was right. I was planning a third Airbnb, eyeing a small condo to buy outright, my savings growing with each booking, my librarian's precision guiding every step. The penthouse was home, its walls hung with art from local markets, vibrant abstracts, mountain sketches, my roses thriving in their pots, a nod to Martin's love of gardening. I hosted a book club in my living room, the women marveling at my view, their laughter a new chapter in my story. I wrote in my journal, pages now a legacy of triumph, Vanessa's garage a distant memory, the city lights my canvas. I thought of Martin, his belief in my ingenuity, his voice in every decision I made. I thought of Vanessa, her lesson learned, her control broken by my success. I thought of Greg, his eyes softer now, his respect a gift I accepted but didn't need. Denver's design community buzzed with my story, some of Vanessa's clients praising my nook, others gossiping about her motel garage. The attention amused me, a sign that my rebellion had ripple effects. I added a guest book to the nook, inviting visitors to share their stories, their words a collection of dreams that Vanessa couldn't erase. I was no longer the Evelyn who'd stood humiliated in the garage. I was a creator, a host, a woman building an empire from the ashes of betrayal. I'd warned them, don't mistake my kindness for weakness. They begged me to stop. I built higher, my empire a testament to what a woman could achieve when pushed too far. I stand on my penthouse balcony now, a coffee mug warm in my hands, the Denver skyline a canvas of possibility, its lights twinkling like the fairy lights in the cozy nook. Silver Spaces is a movement, its readership a global sisterhood, their stories of resilience, my daily fuel, women starting businesses, reclaiming spaces, embracing their power at 60, 70. Greg calls regularly, our bond healing, his pride in my blog, genuine, his engineering mind fascinated by my spreadsheets, my growth. Vanessaville's Silver Spaces, her comments warmer, her control a faded memory, her respect a quiet concession. The cozy nook thrives, its booking steady at $4,000 a month. My second listing, the penthouse retreat, adding $1,500. I've bought a condo, a small unit in a historic Denver building, my third Airbnb in the works, my savings now at $45,000, my empire growing, my penthouse is alive, its walls vibrant with art, local abstracts, sketches of roses, my own paintings joining them, a hobby I've revived, my canvases bold with color, my roses bloom on the balcony, a nod to Martin's garden, their scent a reminder of his love. I host book clubs, dinner parties, my laughter mingling with friends, Clara's pride a constant. I speak at events, from Denver's women's conferences to virtual summits. My message clear, no one defines your worth but you. I'm writing a book, From Garage to Glory, a guide for women to monetize their spaces, their skills, their strength, blending my story with those of my readers. Publishers are calling, my inbox full, my voice reaching further than I'd dreamed. I think of Martin, his love a guide, his laughter in every rose I tend, every guest I welcome. I think of Vanessa, her lesson learned, her control shattered by my success, her blog comments a quiet olive branch. I think of Greg, his eyes softer now, his respect a gift, his questions about my business, a sign he sees me anew. I think of myself, Evelyn Harper, the garage queen, who slept on a cot and rose to a penthouse, who turned betrayal into a beacon for women everywhere. I was humiliated, dismissed, but I built an empire, my kindness a strength, not a weakness. Denver knows my name, my story a spark that's lit fires, women renting their basements, starting blogs, leaving toxic homes. I mentor them through Silver Spaces, their emails a chorus of gratitude, their triumphs my legacy. I've joined a local art group, my paintings exhibited in a gallery, my creativity blooming like my roses. I'm planning a trip to Paris, a dream Martin and I shared, my earnings funding the journey, my journal ready for new stories. Now everyone knows who I am, not just as the woman who turned a garage into gold, but as Evelyn Harper, a creator, a host, a queen. My story is complete, but yours is unfolding. I've learned that betrayal can birth brilliance, that a woman's kindness is her strength, not her weakness. Now I want to hear from you. What's the boldest way you've reclaimed your worth? Share your story in the comments below, whether it's a quiet rebellion or a life-changing leap. Let's build a community of women who transform pain into power, who rise above dismissal to reign. If my journey inspired you, pass it on, share it with a friend, post it online, and ignite others to thrive. What's your moment of triumph? Raise the price and let the world see your glory.